Are Chattanooga home prices actually starting to slip? The August numbers are in, and while prices did dip just a little, buyers are still paying top dollar per square foot. Let's break down what that really means for our housing market. This month, we'll look at how many homes sold compared to last year, how long they're taking to move, and what these shifts mean when you're buying or selling right now. So let's start with the big picture. Compared to last August, closed sales slightly dropped from 899 in August of 2024 to 881 in August of 2025. The median sales price slipped just a little from $340,000 down to $335,000. Our days on market jumped from 37 days last year to 45 days this year, and the median price per square foot held steady at about $193 per square foot. So overall, fewer sales, slightly lower prices, and homes are taking a little bit longer to sell, but buyers are still paying the same rate per square foot. Starting with sales volume, when you go from 899 closed sales to 881, that's not a huge drop, but it does suggest demand is cooling just a little bit. Now, this could be tied to interest rates, summer seasonality, or even buyers just taking a wait and see approach. But what it means for sellers is that you're competing with fewer buyers in the pool, so making your home stand out becomes even more important. Now, on the national stage, the market is tipping in favor of buyers. April data shows that nearly 500,000 more sellers exist than buyers. Now, this is the biggest gap that we've had in decades. What does that mean? Buyers now have more leverage, and savvy sellers are adjusting with incentives and price flexibility. It's not a crash, it is a reset. And here in Chattanooga, that broader shift can give our buyers just some greater confidence and some room to negotiate. Now, about that median sales price, dropping from $340,000 to $335,000, not a crash. That's just about 1.5%. But it does mean that sellers don't quite have the same leverage that they did just a year ago. So if you bought your home 3, 5, or 10 years ago, you've likely built up a ton of equity. And even with that slight dip, you're still in a strong position. But if you list too high in today's market, buyers are going to simply wait you out. And the days on market adds to that story. Last year, it took about 37 days to sell a home, and this August, it was closer to 45 days. That's more than a week longer. Now, what that really shows us is buyer psychology. Buyers, they don't feel rushed in the same way that they did in that frenzy of 2021 and 22. They're taking their time, looking at more options, and in some cases, they are making stronger negotiations. So sellers, patience and strategy, they matter more than ever. In fact, one of my recent clients was able to get a home for 10% under the list price and well under the appraised value of the home, so they got to run off into the sunset with instant equity. Now, let's look at the price per square foot. This August, it came in at about $193, which was almost identical to what it was last year. But here's the curious part. The median sales price, it went down just a little, but the price per square foot, it stayed flat, even though the average size of homes this year was almost identical to last year. Now, what that really means is buyers aren't paying less for space. They're still valuing each square foot at roughly the same $193. The reason the median sales price dipped is more about the mix of homes that sold. So if more mid-range homes closed and fewer high-end ones did, then that middle sale shifts down, even though the going rate for space hasn't changed. So what does this mean if you're a seller? First, presentation is going to be everything. Homes that are staged well, photographed professionally, and priced realistically are still moving. Second, expect longer timelines. If your neighbor's house sold in 5 days last year, that doesn't mean that yours will. Today's market is different. It's even different than from 3 months ago. The average home is taking about a month and a half to sell. Third, Be prepared for negotiation. Whether it is on price, closing costs, or repairs, buyers are asking for more. And yes, that can feel like you're giving something up, but remember, most sellers today still walk away with far more equity than they did just a few years ago. So it's less about losing money and more about adjusting to what the current market expects. And for buyers, this market actually works in your favor. With homes sitting longer, you have more choices and more time to make some decisions. It also means that you might be able to negotiate a better deal, whether that's getting the seller to cover your closing costs or buy down that interest rate or making some repairs before closing. And since prices are basically flat year over year, you're not paying more per square foot than you would have last year. You just have some more leverage right now in how a deal gets structured. Now, nationally, you're going to hear about headlines with housing crashes or markets falling apart, but here in Chattanooga, what we're seeing is stability. Yes, sales are a little slower and prices are just a touch lower, but we're not seeing that kind of 10 or 15% price declines that some other markets are facing. Our market is just balancing out. So if you're thinking about selling, the key is strategy. Price it right, present it well, and be ready to negotiate. And if you're buying, now's a great time to take advantage of a slower pace and lock in that home before prices start moving again. Because if the talk of interest rates going down this fall does materialize, that'll bring more buyers into the market and prices could totally stand the chance of going back up as that demand increases. Do you want to stay on top of what's happening here every month? Hit subscribe and stay informed. And if you'd like a personalized update on what your home might be worth right now, go ahead and get in touch with me in that link down in the description. No pressure, just good information. And if you're looking to make a move to Southeast Tennessee, I know a fantastic realtor and his contact info is also right down in the description of this video.